It seems that Games Workshop are going to be keeping the 40k things coming thick and fast over the next few weeks. We've got a new expansion, Tyranids Unleashed in full, some classic Space Marines returning, and a bunch of new terrain. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today I thought we'd take a video to look at all of Games Workshop's new 40k things that they're bringing out. It seems that a weekend without 40k things coming out would be a weekend wasted, so I thought we'd talk through all of their latest releases, with their prices, and a few interesting details with the things that they're coming out with. We'll start with the wave of new Tyranids, then go on to the Space Marine captains, have a look at the new Battlezone Fronteris Terrain, and then perhaps most interesting for 40k's developments in the future, we'll talk about their next Warzone book expansion and which armies might see the benefits of a few new rules. Tyranids first though, and the Tyranid Codex is in a bit of a weird position at the moment. The Codex hasn't been released yet, but the entire book has already been leaked by one of their playtesters, so we kind of know the full contents of the Codex already. It has been a touch weird with Warhammer community putting out the preview articles for the Tyranids, talking about new stats for the guns and upgraded profiles, when anyone who actually wants to know the new rules can find it all with a simple Google already. Tyranids are already one of the stronger factions in 40k at the moment, not quite on the same level as Custodes, Harlequins and Tau perhaps, but decently strong with their Crusher Stampede. They already do compete far better than most other factions. From the look of the new book, it does look like there's some seriously powerful new models. Things like Maliceptors, Harpies, Hive Tyrants, and some of the others look really interesting, and I'm certainly looking forward to making a few more Tyranid videos over the next few weeks. I do wonder whether Games Workshop might do something to stop the new book interacting with the Crusher Stampede, as it does feel that -1 damage on top of their fairly well boosted monster profiles could be a bit obscene. Maybe they'll have some changes coming to them in that new balance data slate. Otherwise, for miniatures, we have that Parasite of Mortrex, who seems to be the same as the standard character pricing, £24, $38 or €31.50. He does seem to be seeing at least some competitive play with that massive movement of his and disruption factor. I'm not sure if he's the single strongest Tyranid in the book, but he seems pretty useful just to have about to annoy the enemy's army and bully some light infantry. Thankfully, the Tyranid Combat Patrol's coming out as well, £90, $150 or €120. I think it's going to be a fairly popular one, provided you do like your Tyranids quite hoardy. There's the Hive Tyrant kit, always a really handy one to have included, 3 Tyranid Warriors, and then 30 Termagants. The Termagants can all be equipped with those new Flesh Borers at Strength 5, AP-1, though I still think because they've raised the points cost for them a bit, they're still perhaps not quite as strong as the previous incarnation, where you had the massive amount of Devourer shots. I guess we'll see whether or not people might be able to make some of them work well in tournaments and things. I feel like they could be an interesting choice paired with Tervagons. In any case, it's a pretty serious amount of bugs for the cost, really quite a nice way to get a swarm on the table, though I'd be prepared to scrape down a whole load of mould lines from those very old Termagant kits. Then we have the usual supporting things, dice and data cards for the Tyranids. They're at the prices that you see here. In particular, I feel like the faction dice really are pushing it a bit these days. I felt like they were crazily expensive for dice already. Now they're £24, $38 or over €31. You are really going to be paying through the nose for them. I'll admit though, compared with a fair few of the other faction dice, these ones do look fairly swish. Just as a quick aside, if you are thinking about picking any of these up, if you're in the UK, maybe consider using Element Games as opposed to Games Workshop. They do tend to give 15% off their products, and I do have an affiliate link to them down in the video description. If you click it, then a small amount goes to help support Warspets Tactics without costing you any more if you buy something. I'm sure most people watching this are very familiar with third-party sellers already, but I'd certainly recommend looking around options in your area, and there's plenty of other discounters within the UK as well as Element. Next up, and also going on for pre-order this weekend, are a whole bunch of classic Space Marine captains. It is kind of interesting that this seems to be a lot more regular and streamlined thing than they had before, old character kits in particular coming back on a made-to-order basis. I guess particularly nice for retro collectors who are looking to add a few sculpts that went out of production to their collection. I would prefer something new to something second-hand on eBay if possible. This crew of captains are a very old bunch indeed. We've got a golden armoured Blood Angels one, a classic Dark Angel, and an Ultramarine with a head crest. The nostalgia is certainly very strong with these. They're never really going to compete with most of the modern sculpts on a pure aesthetics level, I think, but they certainly hark back to simpler times in model making. I'd guess that these made-to-order characters are still going to be sold at something fairly similar to today's prices though. Games Workshop had a bunch of Eldar Autarchs and Farseers that went on sale recently, and they went for £18, $32 or €23 each, and they were supplied as metal models, as I don't believe that any of these ever made the transition to Citadel Finecast resin. I feel like these little mini bundles of characters might be the fate of the range rotation Space Marines, perhaps. For the vast majority of time, completely out of production and you can't get them, then perhaps every so often coming back for a short period, and you can have them made to order from Games Workshop if you want them. I think though, because they are made to order, you can only order them through Games Workshop's web store, I believe, so no third-party discounts on these guys. Next up, and just released this weekend, is this new set of terrain called Battlezone Fronteris. I think these are basically meant to represent Imperial colony worlds, where the Imperiums just set up shop, so a whole bunch of Imperial new builds that haven't quite had enough time to fall into ruined disrepair yet. The sets eye hab bunker and set of 4 stockades, an antenna and an Auspex shrine, which I don't believe has anything to do with this channel sadly, and a little landing pad, maybe an alternative to that Sky Shield one. I think as terrain sets go, they maybe aren't the most exciting thing ever. I think my favourite out of them is that landing pad, to be honest. At least it's got some cool details with what looks like refueling vats on the side. The little antenna is kind of cute, but both of them do kind of still feel like more decorative terrain than terrain that would actually be useful to play within 40k. I guess that bunker and stockade might do a little bit more for blocking line of sight and stuff, but I can't say I'm particularly enthused about that bunker. It looks almost unfinished, to be honest. I'm not saying that that couldn't be the idea though. I guess it is simplistic settlements that have only just landed on a planet. Price-wise, Games Workshop's terrain is generally on the pricey side, I think. The landing pad or that antenna and shrine set both cost £42.50, $70 or €55, and the bunker and stockade set costs a little bit more. If you're actually looking to pick these up, they do have a combined set called the Fronteris Battlezone Terrain. This one's at a fairly significant discount compared with buying them separately, almost 50% off if you were to buy every part of it. 2 battle boards to play on, 2 bunkers, 1 antenna/shrine set, and 1 landing pad. That one's £135, $220 or €175. I still think though, if you want actual functional terrain for Warhammer 40k, probably this isn't going to be quite enough to cover most boards. You might want to combine a set like this with some actually big ruins and things that are going to obscure a lot of models. Finally, we come on to the new book. It's called Warzone Nachmund Rift War. They've just teased that this book is coming on Monday, and with the other Warzone books, they don't tend to try and build up too much hype from these quite too far in the future. I think they did that with the first few ones and received really quite a lot of backlash, and over the last few they've tended to announce them a little bit more quietly, not trying to make out that they're a major release or anything. For that reason, I guess that they'll be coming for pre-order on the 16th of April. I suppose it's not entirely impossible, it could be the week before. As per the previous book, they basically charge the same amount as codexes for them, £32.50, €42 or $55. In general, people agree that they're just very bad value indeed if you are just wanting the match play sections and have limited interest in all the narrative stuff. The book's basically the latest thing in these Warzone season books. The previous Nachmund one was called Vigilus Alone. It had the rules for the Phobos army for Space Marines and the Bloody Rose supplement for the Adeptus Sororitas, neither of which were particularly outstanding to be honest. In the last one, Abaddon was attacking Vigilus and it was being defended by Calgar and Imperial forces. Apparently the Imperium narrowly held them off, and this one's going to focus on Harkon Worldclaimer being dispatched by Abaddon to try and take the rest of the gauntlets and cut Vigilus off. Largely Chaos Space Marines versus Loyalist Space Marines, the Wardens of the Gauntlet chapters, plus there'll also be Chaos Knights and some Drukhari Raiders involved as well in some way. The actual contents for match play do remain a bit vague at the moment. Warhammer community have only really offered hints rather than specific confirmations, but they said that they'll be getting at least 1 Codex supplement and 1 Army of Renown. I suspect no more than that if we're going by the same pattern of the last book. If I had to guess which factions would be receiving the benefit of these match play updates, I think I put my money on Drukhari and Chaos Knights. It seems weird to mention Drukhari so specifically just as random incidental raiders if you're not going to give them some sort of interesting rules. There's definitely multiple factions within their lore that you could make a Codex supplement or an Army of Renown about. Chaos Knights I think seem kind of likely for the other one, as we know that they're getting their Codex soon, and Games Workshop does like to release their Day 1 supplemental content for them. The Imperial Knights already have their House Raven and Freeblade Lance supplements, so they could easily expand on one of their traitor households, or perhaps give them a Dreadblade Lance as a dark mirror to the Freeblade one. So they'd be my top guesses, otherwise it could certainly be something for Chaos Marines or regular Space Marines though. Seems a bit weird that Chaos Marines are featuring heavily in this if they weren't going to get something. In general though, if you're actually going to buy this book, then the narrative content is perhaps the main draw. The match play rules are just incredibly expensive for the small amount of paper that you get. There'll apparently be some things for Crusade, Alliance rules, Campaign Master's Edicts, whatever they are, and a few other Crusade rules for fighting battles in the Nachmund Gauntlet Warzone. Perhaps not the most exciting book ever, but usually the supplements are at least somewhat interesting to go over. Some of them are a bit more relevant than others, but I'll be sure to cover them all on the channel either way. So Games Workshop really is putting out the 40k releases fairly quickly at the moment. Let me know what you think of all this stuff down in the comments below. Are you looking to pick up the new Tyranids or the Combat Patrol? Do any of the Marines or the Terrain interest you? And what new rules do you think we're going to be getting in the Nachmund book? Look forward to hearing any speculation or insights down in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, or I'll certainly keep the regular 40k things coming. I do tend to post new videos just about every day, and I'll certainly be keeping up with Games Workshop's news and releases. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Element Games affiliate link once more, as they're one of the main ways that I support the channel and keep on doing this as a more full-time thing. As I mentioned, Element Games is a decent discount retailer based in the UK. If you were thinking about picking up any models in the near future, then take a look at the link down below, give it a click. They usually tend to give 15% discounts on Warhammer 40k things, and also when you buy things, a small amount goes to help support Auspex Tactics without costing you a penny more. Can just be one way to help out if you were picking up something anyway. For people over in the USA, I do also have an Amazon link down there as well. That one works in basically the exact same way. Click the link, buy literally anything off Amazon, and a small amount goes to help support the channel. Again, can just be a way to help out on things that you were going to buy anyway. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.